You are up. Your second fearless prediction,
Yeah,
Bryce.
so I'm gonna go homer here. I don't go homer on this podcast very often, Sam. I think you can attest to that. Whenever we talk Detroit,
You actively avoid it.
I act. That is a great way of saying it. I have to talk about the Pistons 12 hours from now. I don't need to actively pursue it right now, but I'm going to on this one. The Detroit Pistons will not be a bottom 3 team in the NBA this season, Sam. They will not.
Okay.
Agree or disagree?
They will not be a bottom 3 team. I agree with that.
Okay. So honestly, I just wanted to use this one for us to talk about the teams at the bottom a little bit because I assumed most of our predictions would be the better teams in the league. And I know that's where all of my other ones were. But one, after a few preseason games, I do think this Pistons offense is going to make more sense. And at least right now, the defense has way more energy and structure than what I've watched for quite a few seasons. I think they made more weak side X out rotations in these preseason games than I maybe have seen in the last 3 years. They have Jay Nivey playing with a lot of confidence right now. Again, all caveats of the preseason. Tobias looked good in his first game. Malik Beasley is at least going to provide floor spacing, et cetera, et cetera. But I think they're also the Nets, I think, would be everybody's worst team. You have the Jazz, the Blazers, the Wizards, the Hornets. I'm not saying they're better than those teams on paper. And then you're going to have one maybe injury-riddled team. I just think they find a way not to be at the very bottom of the NBA standings.
So I think the Wizards and Nets will definitely be worse. I will say that from the jump here. I would say that I think Portland probably ends up worse. In all honesty,
the third team is the hard one. It's just to me, it's mathematic. Like, okay, if I think of there's 6 or 7 teams that could, then surely one of them is. I guess is where I got to.
Yeah, I think Portland might be pretty rough. All due respect to Chauncey Billups, he's going into the Hall of Fame tonight. Like, great. Like, I think Portland's coach situation is, in a bit of a different category than some of these teams. Let's go with. We don't know what Brian Keefe is going to be at Washington, for instance, necessarily, but I feel good that I don't like Billups' coach. Chicago, I mean, they could be quite poor on defense, and it could be a bit of a mess. I will say, like, Zach LaVine looked.
I haven't watched it, but he must have played well. I saw a lot of people tweeting about it.
Yeah, I watched that game over the weekend. That was fun. Utah, I think, could really struggle. Utah does have Lowry, and I really trust the ability for Lowry to be able to step in and knock down shots, play for Will Rhodes or Will Hardy. This is like a weird ass commenter in this thing that's driving me crazy. Trying to like get rid of them as we go. Will Hardy being able to play and being able to, play for him and space the court in the way that Hardy does on his offensive scheme and really, really, really be able to play at a high level on that end of the court. Colin Sexton had a solid year, but you just never know necessarily what they're going to be on defense. They were terrible on defense last year. And I don't know, like it's a big ask for Walker Kessler to be able to hold this thing up in the way that they need. Like I would even say, like, I think there's a chance that Detroit finishes outside of the top 5 or outside of the bottom 5.
I think there's a world where, maybe. I try not to get my hopes up. Outside the bottom 3 would be sadly a very successful season.
I think that.
Have you watched them yet?
I watched one of the Pistons games or one of the Phoenix games. Yeah.
The offense definitely has a different flow to it. And again, I thought again, all caveats, the defense just has a certain energy and like, it just seems to make sense. Even though they don't have any good individual defenders, even the overall scheme and just guys getting to places and stuff like that seems better. And
I would agree.
Since it's a new coach, I'm assuming that's going to continue to grow because he's just got there a few months ago. And so I'm a little bit optimistic right now that it's not unwatchable this season and they win some games.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me if they were able to really pull together 30 wins, 35 wins. That's a stretch. Like let's not go crazy here. It's a stretch, but 35 is like not crazy given some of the teams they're going to be playing at the bottom of the
Yeah.
East. It just depends on who decides to pull the ripcord and who doesn't,
Yes.
kind of.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be so much of this season. Who pulls the ripcord and who doesn't whenever we get to the bottom end there.
Yes. Yes.